I've been looking forward to this for months, I mean years probably, nearly a year, of getting a battery in here that fits properly in its proper place and doesn't reach, the battery's too big. Like. Hello there and welcome back to my channel, Rover Turbo. This video is a video on the Sierra 4x4. I've got a playlist which I'll try and link to up here for all the other videos I've got on this from when I got it and all the projects that I've been doing on it. So in this video I'm actually doing, finally, I'm doing the battery tray and the welding and everything I need to do to get all of the tin shields and the windscreen wipers and everything back together. So bits of this video have been recorded over a period of time, so I've compiled them all together and it all makes sense obviously in a complete video. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please click like, subscribe, all that good stuff, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. My next job on this is going to be the rust by the battery tray. Really quick recap, this has all been, all the tin shields have all been taken off to gain access to all of the leaves and the muck behind, which have all been cleaned out, and all the tins were in really good condition. I've had them powder, dipped, sandblasted and powder coated, so that's all, they're all waiting to go back on. And I was worried that there was water getting in underneath this fuse box or somewhere in this area. I mean, it still might be getting in, you know, through this grommet or through here, or you know, somewhere else down here maybe. But what I did is I blasted all the heater box and all under here with a hose, and absolutely no water got in this side at all. But I didn't want to completely dismantle the whole entire car, so I've just put all this plastics back and I've put this back. I've decided not to take this out, this immobiliser thing, mainly because it's just a whole bee's nest of wiring under there, and they've cut sections of the loom out, so I'm going to have to put wires in. So it works, so I'm just going to leave it alone for the minute. I'm just creating more and more work for myself. So I've just gone over to the other side to start stripping that side out, because obviously underneath the battery tray inside, I don't know what wiring, insulation, when I'm welding, grinding, I don't want that to be damaged. So I want to take this side apart, which turns out it comes all the way around and joins into this undercover cowling, so it looks like I'm going to have to take that all back off again anyway. But anyway, so let me show you the other side. I need to just take off this lower cowling, I'm assuming, to just get underneath this battery tray area, and it looks like this lower piece goes all the way around to the heating and venting, the radio and the fan and that kind of stuff. I don't know if I can just peel it out of the way, but anyway. But while I was underneath here, bearing in mind this has had a car cover on it for, which seems to be waterproof because the water puddles in here every time it rains, and I've had this plastic thing, but it does actually look like some water has actually still been getting in there. Can you see that? I don't know whether this just happened or what, I don't know, because I know the water was getting inside here, but the carpet in here is bone dry. Bearing in mind it's been really hot here recently, the carpet's bone dry. I've just pulled back the carpet, and this just shows you, if you've got moisture inside an old car, you're never going to get rid of it unless you pull it out. This is absolutely soaking wet. All of this, look, is absolutely, look, sodden. So luckily, I mean, this is all puddled in here, look. Luckily this is in still really good condition. The inner seal, there's no rot or rust in here at all. And it's the same on the other side, but I need to get this out. I need to get this under sealant out of here, and I need to get this all dried out, because obviously I assume because the carpet was dry, which it was wet, it was soaking wet when it was leaking. Sorry, that doesn't make any sense to you there, does it? When it was leaking through and the carpet was getting wet, I assume the carpet was dry, it was all dry, but yeah, a little bit of this is all wet. I need to get all of this sound deadening out of here, and then take all this off. So there's lots of goodies in here. I think this was the last time it was taxed, 2015. I think that was the last time it was on the road. I think there's an MOT in 2015. It's just a pity I've got no other paperwork with it. I took that lower piece off again. You have to take the little trim, the little quadrant piece off. You have to take the lower cowling off the steering column, which allows you then to drop that down. And then there's a few screws around to take this lower piece off, and there's 2 screws under here that go into here, which are a right pain in the bum to get to because you have to go in between the gap underneath. But I managed to do it. I know I'm going to get back in again, but so I peeled the carpet back. I've already got the lower section here. I had to cut it because it goes right up. We sort of tore at a line that was already there. That bit's a bit damp, but it's not saturated. So I'm hoping because this goes right up over the transmission tunnel, so I'm hoping if I just prop something underneath that so the air can get underneath it, that will dry. And I've also had to cut this piece that goes up here, cut it across there. I didn't want to do it, but I ain't got a lot of choice. At the end of the day, it will just go back in, and if I want to I can put a bit of tape on it, but it's just sound insulation, so it's not going to make any difference whether it's in 2 pieces. So this piece is now coming out, so you have to be a little bit careful with this because it's obviously twice the weight it was, and obviously it's quite delicate. So as you can see, look, this is just absolutely sopping wet. So I'm just going to leave these out in the sun. I'll mop up what water we've managed to. It smells like a pond in here, and then you can start to see this is all the rust that's come up. So there's an ECU under here of some kind. So all this is going to have to come off. This ECU, this, I'm guessing all this will have to be unbolt and flap down, and then this insulation here is all going to have to come down as well because it's going to be wet, and I'm going to be welding up in here. Yeah, I think I can feel it. So I don't know how badly this is gone. But obviously we'll have to cut out what we need to cut out. I don't know if you can see that under there, can you? Probably not, no. So we'll get this out, probably get this tube out. It's just a ducting, and then maybe leave that there, not sure. No, probably have to take that out, won't we? And then start unbolting some of these bits and pieces. I've got no idea what half of this stuff is. And that just reminds me the point I wanted to make about the overall condition, or it sort of compounds the overall condition of the bodywork on this car. I mean, look, I don't have much experience, I don't have any experience with Sierras, but I have experience with old cars, and this looks brand new under here. And apart from the fact that it needs a clean and it needs drying out a little bit, it looks brand new under here. There isn't a trace, apart from obviously underneath there before anyone says anything, there isn't a trace of any rot at all. No evidence, no surface rust, nothing. I mean, are these really good normally? These, I don't know. I mean, the underneath is the same, and there's no traces of any repairs, any welding that it's ever had in its entire life. And the battery tray is just due to the poor design of where the water goes down and then just sits underneath the battery tray. I mean, it's a common problem Fords have always had with battery trays anyway. And bearing in mind this has got 28, is it? No, 34,000 miles. Well, it obviously hasn't done 34,000 miles. Or has it? I doubt it. I very much doubt it, and I can't prove it for any way whatsoever. But even if it does done 134,000 miles, how is it in this condition? I've said this before in some other videos on this, that the bloke who I bought it off of had it fully resprayed because the lacquer was peeling off of the car. He said there was no rust on the entire car whatsoever. He only had the outside done. He didn't have the door shuts done or anything else like that, or the engine bay done. And he said that there was a tiny bit of rust apparently underneath one of the door cards in the door here that he had cut out and a little plate welded in on the entire car. No rust on the arches, no rust on the wings, anything. I mean, this car must have been looked after to the nth degree. I just can't understand how it's in such good condition. I would challenge someone. I'm challenging people now on the internet, apart from cars that have been restored, you can find a better condition than this one. I don't know whether, going back through my previous videos, if I have done a video of underneath it, and it's just, there's a couple of patches of surface rust that need treating. But anyway, this is all irrelevant bollocks in it. So let me crack on with getting all this stuff undone under here. So I've got all of these ECUs out of the way. So these two ECUs was on this metal plate, and they're kind of held in with these stupid sort of, I guess the plate just pushes up and then these just slide and hold it in either end. So I've got this pulled down now. Don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this, but I can't get this out completely. So this is dry. You can see under here now. It's not too bad. It's just on that little edge there. It just needs. Oh, this is all going to be done from the inside, all ground from the other side, all ground down, and what the rusty stuff cut out, new stuff put in, and this will all be treated and painted under here. So while I was under here, I was having a look at what all these ECUs were. Well, this apparently is the central locking module. I just googled that code there, and this is the central locking module. Because at some point, because it's got central locking on the key, I'd like to add remote central locking on a fob. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm sure we could tap into here somehow that will, you know, there's only going to be an electronic signal, isn't it? This sends out and it powers all the motors. But the same thing you can do with these central locking kits that you can buy on eBay. But anyway, that's just something else. And then we've got these two ECUs here, which look like that they've been subject to water getting into them, which is obvious because of where they were. But there's evidence that these have got moisture inside them. So I've just started taking that apart. So this one here is the lamp failure indicator, and this one is a warning lamp control module, warning lamp failure control module. So I'm assuming that these two ECUs have got something to do with these and the lights in here, because obviously, if you didn't know, it has sensors for the brake disc, for the coolant level, for the screen wash level, and the petrol low. And then here you've got a little picture of a car, and it shows you the doors, it shows you the lamps, and it tells you whether there's a problem with one of the light bulbs are gone, basically. So I'm assuming one of these does one of these and the other one does the other one. So because this is faulty, these just all light up, if they light up at all, and it just shows all of the pictures on here all permanently, all the doors are open, all the lights are on. So I would assume that these have been affected by the moisture. So I'm going to take these apart and just have a look inside, because it may just be they just need cleaning up, maybe, you know, some solder reflowing, and I might be able to, you know, get them working again without having to purchase sort of new or second-hand ones if they're still available. I'm assuming they are. So these are not really serviceable, so you just have to bend all those metal tabs back. It smells very 1980s circuit board in here. So it doesn't look too bad actually. There's no obvious staining or there's a little bit of evidence of moisture down there and down there as well. So 99.9% of problems with old electrics are dry solder joints. So what I'll do probably first, not now, but what I'll do first is I'll reflow some of these solder joints, probably the ones up this end first. So this is inside the other one, and that one doesn't really look like, I don't think this one's actually got any water into it. It doesn't look like it has. So this one might be okay, I don't know, it could do, you know, one ECU, so these two relays I'm assuming have got something to do with it as well. I can now do something about them. I'm pretty sure you can pick these up second hand. Whether they're going to be in better condition, I've no idea, but just going to get this all ground down with a flat wheel. So I'm just unbolting all of this stuff which is on this side of this engine bay. We've got some kind of vacuum accumulator or something which just bolts in there with a little plastic tab that goes in the bottom. That was bolted on there with an earth strap on it, I don't know. It didn't go anywhere, but maybe it did before. We've got this little solenoid valve on this block here. So it looks like there's loads of 10mm bolts. So I'm just going to take all those off and hopefully just try and peel those away. That's all ground down as best I could do with the angle grinder on the flat wheel. It's quite a small area, it's quite awkward to get into. So there's a bit of surface rust here which I'm going to have to wire brush and treat up, but I think this is all good up here. There's a couple of holes which have appeared over here, and this, I guess, I don't know what that is. I think this might be part of the original battery tray maybe, I'm not sure. There's a couple of holes here, so I'm not quite sure exactly where I'm going to go with it, because under here it's a bit crusty, but there's no actual holes. So when you look at it from the inside, it all looks good. Everything all looks good apart from a hole here. So, I mean, I want this to be 100% watertight. And this, I've just realised, it's really weird, its shape. There's like a lump here, like a lump here, and then it sort of curves down. And I don't know what this is, I don't understand why it's got a step there. And I've obviously got to try and reconstruct some kind of ledge on here to weld to. It's going to be really awkward in this corner and next to this grommet. So I've done a bit of cutting. I've just basically cut this bit out. Doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to. These holes I'm going to try and fill. I just can't see the point in cutting all of this metal out just for the sake of a couple of little holes. I'm going to try my best to try and fill those. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I might have to cut a small section out, put it in. I think these are just screw holes. Someone screwed something in here. And then obviously we've got a couple of small holes here. So I know you can get, is it a brass bar? Hold it underneath and then fill it up. Not that I've got one, but something I was going to hope to do over the next few days. So now I've cut this out, I'm going to grind all of this rust off of here, and obviously I'm going to have to make a little L bracket to weld into here after I've cleaned this up. And then obviously I have to then make a template up probably using this, what's left of it, to then make a new bit of metal. Right, so I've done a bit more cutting. I've gone a little bit further this time because it was a bit crusty under there. So now I've got to solid metal here, there's solid metal here, and then obviously there's solid metal here. So this is all solid and this is all solid, so that's pretty much, that's what it is. I just need to still a little bit. What I might do is get a little bit of, I'll try and fill these other holes in. That one I probably won't be able to. I might get a bit of metal because I haven't got one of those blocks and I want to do it now. Sorry, get on with it, Paul. Is to put a bit of metal on the inside and hold it up against there and then weld that and then grind it flat. Because this is all going to be, I'm going to treat this where it's all down here. I've wire brushed this all. So I'm just not going to be able to get down there, it's just impossible. So I've wire brushed it off by hand. So I'm going to, obviously once this is all welded in, I'm going to treat all of this with Vactan rush treatment, all of this, and this whole area with the Vactan, and the inside as well. Then obviously I'm going to give it, I've got some colour, this colour in aerosol, and some lacquer. I know you're not supposed to lacquer this, but I'm going to do this area anyway, just to give it a bit of extra protection. And then the inside as well. And then this is the battery tray. So I'll obviously give this a coat of paint as well, clean it up. So this was with the car when I got it. No, it wasn't. I bought this one. It wasn't with the car. So obviously you've got the tins. The tins go across here. I think they hit this here and then they curve around. So the battery tray, I'm not quite sure. I'll have to try and get some pictures of exactly where this goes, because I know it goes at an angle like that. And these are the earth bolts, I think, for the various earths and stuff that I've temporarily connected. So, and I'm guessing you just, I'm not quite sure how you fix this on. I don't know whether it goes up in these little bumps. I'm not sure. I might have to try and find out somehow how where this goes exactly. Because I know it definitely goes at the angle, but obviously I need to, because obviously this is going to be an earth, I need to weld through and obviously attach it. It's probably about there, bearing in mind that's where that hole is, in the middle of that hole. That's probably not going to be far off, is it? These couple of patches in now, there and there, and I've got a couple of the little holes filled. It's just the big ones, literally just welding around the hole and then just grinding it off. So I'm left with this little hole here, which I'll probably do when I weld this, and then this hole here, and then this little hole here. So I'm probably going to get a bit of metal, little plate of metal, and probably put it up underneath, and then just weld it up. I'm not particularly bothered, no one's going to see that underneath there, but the thing is, this is a bit sort of lumpy bumpy, so I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that. Using the old bits of metal here, I'm just going to throw up a template. So I've got this old bit of, this was actually the battery tray that was on there before, so basically I've used that as a template. So I'm going to cut that out. Look at that, look, don't even need to weld it. Okay, so yeah, I need to do a little bit of shaping, drill some little holes in here so I can obviously weld down to this flange. What I normally do is I normally start welding and then shaping it, because the heat, once you get the heat into the metal, it makes it a lot easier. So at the moment, this doesn't fit, there's a big gap here, if I push it, it falls out. This has got a little bit of a lump in it. I mean, I'm going to have to weld this section first and then start shaping this as I go down. So I've just used this edge here and a hammer just to give it a very slight curve. And you can feel that there, look. Literally just overhung it. like that, and then just literally just tapped it down with a hammer. Right, so that's the piece of metal there with a hole drilled in it. Primed it underneath because there isn't actually anything under here that's going to be weldable, because obviously it's going to be welded around the edges and it's going to be welded through the spots. And I'll put seam sealer obviously around the inside. Right, so that's it in with a few little tacks around here. So obviously now I'm going to stitch in between all of these slowly, and all the plug welds have gone in. So I'm actually really happy with that. I mean, that's, you know, once that's all painted and the battery tray's in there, you're never going to know. And it's going to be watertight, and that's what's important. I've also noticed when I was inside that this grommet has got a hole in it. I don't think you can really see it, but it's got a split in it. So I don't know if someone's tried to pass something through this, that'll need to be dealt with. So yeah, I'm just going to go around, and then obviously I need to deal with these two holes. Right, so that's that all welded. I've also put a smear of filler over it, filled a few holes in with weld. I filled it because it always looks crap. I'm no welder, I'm no fabricator, so it looks shit obviously, but it's functional. So I put a skim of filler over it. I'm going to sand it, make it look nice. Obviously I know it's going to be under the battery tray, but I still want it to look nice underneath. I've given the battery tray a bit of a clean, both sides, and I've just sprayed it. So the underneath is primered and dried. So then obviously I've just given that one coat. Just going to let it tack off, give it another coat, just with some aerosol. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the top coat, both sides, and then the lacquer. So that's pretty much the finished article. I've managed to sort of sculpt it so the water flows down to this point and then down out of here. So what I've got to do now is give this area a proper scuff up around here and around here, and then obviously this down here I need to treat with the rust treatment and give this all a scuff up, so then I can obviously get this all prepared and masked up. I've got it all finished off now, painted all around here, and they've just literally just come up here a little bit. My next decision, which by the time you watch this would have already been made, is I was adamant that I was going to lacquer this area for a maximum protection, but now because they didn't lacquer the insides of these from the factory, I'm trying to go for as much originality as possible on this car. And anyone that looks under the bonnet who knows what they're talking about is going to look at that and go, oh, they're not supposed to be lacquered. And it's kind of, at this point, it's never going to be done again. I wouldn't have thought. I mean, I'm planning eventually, when the engine comes out, which it's going to do at some point, is I'm going to get the engine bay painted, but obviously that's going to be a long-term project. And obviously I won't lacquer the engine bay. Is anyone going to notice? Is anyone going to care? I don't really know. I did decide to lacquer it. It doesn't look that much different, so, and most of it's going to be covered anyway. So I've started to get the tins back in, so I thought I'd better put that piece back in first, because I kind of think that goes back in first. Then the next one goes on top of that, and then it goes round. These have all been powder coated, the tins. I took them to the powder coater and had them powder coated. Unfortunately, what I didn't notice, and they didn't tell me, and I didn't check, that obviously it started to rust. So it's been powder coated, it's all the rust has been taken away, and it's been you know, it's been powder coated. I don't know how many times I've said that now, so it's not ideal, but again, it's going to be behind the battery, you're not going to see it. I'm not happy about that, but it's too late in the day to do anything about that now. I've currently got a Bluetooth wiper motor, because I put it in and I forgot to plug it in. I think you have to plug it in before you put it back in. Luckily I haven't bolted it up yet, so I think I'm going to try and get all the tins in first where they need to go. I've taken loads of pictures from when I took it apart of the tins, because they had loads of these little brackets and stuff on them, because I think these airline or these vacuum lines all go round and down to this unit that goes on the side here. What I am struggling with a little bit, and I think I'm just going to have to go with it is what it is with the battery tray, because I put a shout out on a few Sierra groups on Facebook, and because I've got no idea where the tray goes, some very helpful gentleman did that for me. Thank you very much. I forget your name if you're watching. On his, it was a Cosworth, an E-Reg Cosworth, and this looks the same. This tin, you know, slightly different the way that the plate works, but it ends here, and the battery tray lines up with the end. I mean, his might be a different battery tray, but I don't think so. The battery tray lines up with the back end of this, but it's not going to work because of the power steering pipes. The aircon pipes. The pictures I've seen line up the end of that, but it's not going to work because of the air conditioning, because this has got air conditioning. So the main problem we've got is that when you put this in here, that's where the battery tray is. So it's going to have to go where it's going to have to go. So, which is pretty much tight up in that corner anyway. All of the tins on now, the washer jet is all connected. This is pretty much where I've decided the battery tray is going to go, which I think is pretty much where it's supposed to go, because I managed to, I don't know whether these power steering pipes are in the right, I keep saying that, don't I? These air conditioning pipes are in the right place, because they're not connected to anything. So there's one that goes up underneath the battery tray and round here. So I just sort of bent that down so it can go underneath the tray. So that seems to work. And then this big pipe here was sort of tipped up at an angle, so it was intruding onto the tray. So I've just pushed that down. I don't want to go too far because then it becomes very close to this spark plug and it'd be a nightmare to change that. Not that it's an issue now. So I've got it in place, it looks square, it's sitting flat. So I've marked, see the little black, let's move slightly, but a little black dot there. And there's a little black dot over there. And then there's a black dot there. So that's the 3 places that I'm going to weld it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run the drill, or just clean out the inside of that hole on all 3 of them, take the battery tray out, and then literally just use something just to scratch through to the bare metal where that, around that hole, and then I'm going to spot weld through those 3 holes to fix the battery tray down, because we've got earth points on here. I've been looking forward to this for fucking months, I mean years, probably nearly a year, of getting a battery in here that fits properly in its proper place and doesn't reach, the battery's too big. Fuck's sake. Basically that's now all completely done. This battery is probably too big for this car, but it's the only one it's the smallest one I've got that will fit in here. The clamp will go on because you can just see the last hole, but it doesn't need anything this big. It's just something that I had, and this it only just about reaches. It's you know, that is on there too tight, so that can't be permanent. So I'll probably buy a smaller battery which will solve that problem. The battery clamp is now on the battery tray as it should be. That all works fine. Everything is all back as it was. All of this is all now back together.